Hey, Joe on the radio. Chris-Grollnek is a friend of the show, retired police detective, and active shooting expert. Chris, thanks for joining us. We always appreciate you jumping on the air with us on this Monday morning, sir.
Hey, good morning, Joe.
So what do we know about Idaho? This is really weird. And I there's so many good things happening in the news, but as I look here and I see how this broke down, very, very bizarre situation. Walk us through this, if you would, Chris.
So, of course, there's better things to talk about on the radio, except, the awareness that your audience probably needs and the confusion that's out there, because every day it seems like there's a new active shooter.
Yeah.
And then the reports come out that there's a drop of, 30 or 40%. But the reality is they recategorize some of them, and they try to neuter our ability to understand exactly what's happening, because the violence problem is obviously epidemic proportions and growing for the last, unfortunately, 5 years. I think it's getting better this year. I just don't think it's there. And this is, pretty proportionate to what we've seen. These things are cyclical. I'm not sure if you recall, Joe, but in Webster, New York in 2012, 4 firefighters were ambushed because a man set his house on fire. They responded. He shot all 4 of them, killed 2 of them, then killed him. I think he shot a police officer too, and then himself, but not before 5 or 6 houses burned down, because they weren't ready to deal with the crisis of being shot when they responded. And that's no fault to their own. It wasn't a vision problem. We just don't react because it's a 1-off or a 2-off. Well, here we have the exact or near exact same situation, just in a more rural area, if you will, densely populated by forest, and a huge, hiking trail. But somebody started a brush fire. It appears the person's not confirmed yet. They called the police, I believe. Those are my opinions based off what I've seen and read, which are not just media reports. And it appears that the fire truck showed up to attack the brush fire with a really good coordinated effort plan, and somebody had a different coordinated effort and plan to either assassinate them, cause some type of stir, or just seek revenge for what these people do this for, which is, we look at international terrorism and we call it religious, political, and ideological reasons. And here, domestic terrorism, we look at it through personal grievances, righting some type of wrong, or mental illness. And if we, synthesize both of those, they're all the same. For whatever reason, if you're going to seek violence to fix something, you have a mix of all 3 of those things anyways. So I really believe it's a call out really to psychologists to work harder to find out what really motivates violence right now. Is it the rhetorical question of, are video games harming our children? Yeah. Are movies becoming more violent? You and I have spoken about this countless times. I would believe the answer is yes. I don't know if it's going to cause somebody to light a brush fire and kill or try to kill as many firefighters as possible, but they had a really good coordinated plan. And look at what one person with a rifle did to an entire town, hiking trail, natural preserve, if you will, and then community for hours. And, I only feel for all the responders and the families of the deceased and all the people involved that are going to be going through this for a long time to come.
Yeah, but you always have an answer. That's why I like talking to you, Chris. You always have an answer. No way to really check it out. There's a fire, and my goodness gracious, in 1967 Newark riots, they were shooting at firefighters
there you go.
For some reason. Why would they even
They're
do
technical.
that? It really is, but like you said, for what you could probably have some technology. There's no real technology to stop this. This is just an ambush, but this is just plain mental illness. They got the guy. They got the guy that took him out, but no real way, I guess, to forecast that something like this is going to happen, unless and this. Forgive me, this is really dumb. But why stop now? Because I thought, sometimes when things happen and things are going really good in the White House, against the grain of the old legacy media, that I always think some kind of shadow government, deep state makes these things happen. That's a little nutty, Chris, right? You don't even want to go there, correct?
No, listen, I don't mind even attacking the question or, speaking my opinion, because I'm always forthright with you. Yeah. I just think that, whether that is or whether that isn't is not my opinion, and it's not my position. However, it's totally understandable how anyone because you're not the only person, Joe. I mean, I speak to, I don't know how many people a week. You're not the only person that says that. Hey, what do you think this is? Do you think it's, and, fill in the blank, some law, some legislation, some election. And I don't have the answer, but I think that's what the call out, unfortunately, I don't have the answer to that, but I think that's what the call out to the psychological community is. Everybody says we study behavior and violence, and we study active shooters, and the FBI has a gigantic branch determined to, get to the profile. But I mean, if you and I can speak frankly for a moment, which I think we always do, the FBI is really good at responding and investigating to crimes. And as long as I've known you, I think I introduced you as my name was Chris Prevention Grollnek, right? I mean, I only think of prevention. How do we stop them before the shots are fired? And the country as a whole is just not investing a lot in that because they are, we don't know what we prevent. So it's a very difficult measurement. However, I know from my past days, I have 3 registered saves from the Active Shooter Prevention Project at Fortune 500 companies that actually stopped shootings before they started.
Wow.
And they're very well documented.
Yeah.
So there are ways to stop these. There is technology to actually, give better notification than getting out of a fire truck, walking around with a hose and waiting to, what if something's going to go wrong? Can you imagine the stress this induces on the rest of the fire community across the country? Exactly. Are they going to delay their response? So if we don't start really investing in those answers of psychological behaviors and how to identify them, not respond to them, and then, and I'm not just talking about mental illness, I'm talking about the whole gamut. How do you and I know I'm limited on time, but how do you get the kids, what were they, 10 and 11-year-olds, 5 of them arrested yesterday, the news came out, for plotting to kill a 5th grade boy in the bathroom and making it look like suicide because he kissed another girl. Yeah. Another 10 and 11-year-olds. Yeah. So how does that coordinate to this? I think you get a lot of stemmed up, piped up hate. Goes to your direct question of, is it a conspiracy? I don't know if it's a conspiracy, but it could just be a trigger in someone's mind that says, you know what? It's my turn to shine. And that's what we all lose sleep over at night trying to prevent.
And a lack of consequence too, in my opinion, Chris. They what's going to happen to those kids? Like that you just talked about. And if there's no consequence, it just keeps happening. Just a great conversation, Chris. Keep us posted on this, and let's keep the conversation going, man. And you know what?
Next time we talk about 911. How about that? That'll be a good conversation. No death, no craziness.
I love it. You're on, Chris. Thank you so much. Keep up the great work, my friend, and thanks for joining us.
I appreciate you, Joe. Hope you're well. See you soon.
Thank you, sir. Chris-Grollnek right there. Retired police detective, active shooting expert. You could Google Chris-Grollnek, working with Fortune 500 companies all across America.